Kevin's fingers trace the edge of his latest streaming contract as he sits in his home studio, surrounded by the professional recording equipment that transformed a childhood hobby into an $8 million empire. Through the soundproof glass, he can see his nephew playing on a tablet, completely absorbed in an animated adventure where Kevin's voice brings 3 different characters to life. He remembers the exact moment everything changed. Tuesday, March 15th, 3 years ago, stuck in bumper-to-bumper traffic on Interstate 405, investigating what would turn out to be his last insurance fraud case. His phone had been buzzing with notifications from a silly voice recording he'd posted online the night before. Just him doing impressions of his coworkers to blow off steam after another soul-crushing day of reviewing claim documents. Maybe you know this feeling. That suffocating weight of Sunday night dread. The way your stomach drops when the alarm goes off Monday morning. The quiet desperation of sitting in traffic, wondering if this is all there is to life. Kevin had felt it too. Every morning for 2,847 days, he'd walked into that sterile office building, processed claims that felt meaningless, and told himself he was being responsible. While his real gift, the ability to create entire worlds with just his voice, sat locked away in childhood memories, gathering dust like an old toy in the attic. Hey there. Tonight, you'll discover how Kevin's moment of clarity in that traffic jam can unlock your own courage to pursue what makes your soul come alive. Before you drift off, hit like if stories about discovering hidden talents speak to you, and subscribe to join others on this journey of transformation. Drop a comment with where you're listening from and how many nights you've been manifesting abundance with us. This community's commitment to growth inspires me deeply. Now settle in and let your mind absorb this story of unexpected breakthrough. That day in traffic was different. Kevin had just finished investigating a particularly heartbreaking case. A family whose home had burned down, and he'd spent weeks proving their claim was legitimate while his company tried to find reasons to deny it. Sitting there, engine idling, he realized the real tragedy wasn't the occasional fraud he uncovered. It was spending 8 hours a day in a job that made him feel like he was slowly disappearing. You'll experience those pivotal moments in Kevin's journey as if they were your own. The accidental discovery that changed everything. The terrifying leap from security into the unknown. The months when his bank account dwindled and doubt whispered that he'd made a terrible mistake. But you'll also witness something extraordinary. The gradual awakening of a man who stopped asking for permission to use his gifts, who discovered that the entertainment industry was hungry for authentic voices, who learned that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision that creative fulfillment is more important than a steady paycheck. Tonight, as Kevin's story unfolds by the peaceful mountain lake, your subconscious mind will begin to recognize that the same creative potential lives within you. His journey becomes your permission to stop hiding your talents and start building the life you actually want. So breathe deeply, let your body sink into comfort, and prepare to witness a transformation that will plant seeds of possibility in your own sleeping mind. You find yourself stepping onto a weathered wooden deck that extends gracefully over the mirror-still surface of a mountain lake. The air carries the crisp scent of pine and the gentle sweetness of wildflowers blooming along the distant shoreline. As you settle into an oversized Adirondack chair, the last rays of golden sunlight filter through towering evergreens, casting dancing shadows across the water. Kevin is already here, leaning against the deck railing with a relaxed confidence that seems to emanate from someone who has found their true calling. His dark hair catches the warm light, and when he turns to greet you with a genuine smile, There's something in his eyes that speaks of hard-won wisdom and deep contentment. "I was just thinking about how different this feels from my old life," he says, gesturing toward the peaceful lake where a loon calls in the distance. 3 years ago, I would have been sitting in my gray cubicle right about now, staring at another insurance claim, counting the minutes until 5 o'clock. The wooden deck creaks gently beneath your feet as you find yourself naturally drawn into the conversation. Kevin's voice has an immediately recognizable quality, warm, expressive, with subtle variations in tone that suggest layers of character work beneath the surface. "You know, people always assume that success in entertainment happens overnight," Kevin continues, watching ripples spread across the lake's surface from a jumping fish. They see the final result, the streaming shows, the production company, the financial freedom, and they think it just appeared out of nowhere. But the truth is, my journey started in the most unlikely place imaginable. You find yourself settling deeper into the comfortable chair as Kevin's story begins to unfold, his words carrying the same hypnotic rhythm as the gentle lapping of water against the dock posts below. "I was 32 years old, sitting in a beige cubicle at Meridian Insurance, investigating claims that would make your soul ache," Kevin says, his voice taking on the weary tone of someone recalling a past life. "Every morning, I'd drive the same route, park in the same spot, badge into the same building that smelled like recycled air and broken dreams." The evening light continues to soften around you both, and you notice how Kevin's entire demeanor seems to relax as he speaks, as if sharing this story brings him genuine joy rather than painful memories. "My specialty was fraud investigation, which sounds more exciting than it actually was. Most days, I'd spend hours reviewing medical records, photos of damaged property, and witness statements, trying to piece together whether someone was telling the truth about their claim. The work required attention to detail, sure, but it felt like I was slowly disappearing into a world of endless paperwork and suspicious thinking." Kevin pauses to take a sip from a glass of iced tea that catches the last golden rays of sunlight. "The strangest part was how good I'd become at reading people's voices during phone interviews. I could detect subtle changes in tone, nervous laughter, the way someone's inflection shifted when they weren't being completely honest. I had this almost supernatural ability to hear the story behind the story." You begin to understand that Kevin's gift for voice work had been developing all along, even in the most mundane circumstances. The realization feels profound as it settles into your consciousness, that sometimes our greatest talents are being sharpened in the most unexpected places. "But here's what really kills me when I think back on it," Kevin continues, and you notice his voice becoming more animated, more alive with possibility. "Every single day during my lunch break, I'd sit alone in my Honda Civic in the parking lot, and I'd do voices. Not because I thought it would lead anywhere, but because it was the only 30 minutes of my day when I felt truly like myself." The lake has grown perfectly still now, reflecting the deepening sky like a massive mirror. Fireflies begin their evening dance among the reeds along the shoreline, creating tiny sparks of magic in the gathering dusk. I'd practice impressions of my coworkers, create characters inspired by the claimants I'd spoken with that morning, even develop entire personalities for the security guards in the lobby. My car became this secret studio where I could explore every voice that lived inside me. Sometimes I'd record little snippets on my phone, just for fun, never imagining that anyone else would ever hear them. Kevin's eyes grow distant as he recalls those solitary lunch hours. Looking back, I realize I was already building the foundation for everything that would come later. Every voice I practiced, every character I developed in that parking lot, was preparing me for a future I couldn't even imagine yet. You feel a gentle breeze stirring across the lake, carrying with it the promise that hidden talents are always preparing us for opportunities we haven't yet discovered. The breaking point came on a Tuesday afternoon in March. I'd been assigned to investigate a house fire claim, and when I interviewed the family, I could hear the genuine devastation in their voices. They'd lost everything: family photos, heirlooms, the kids' artwork from school. Everything that made their house a home was gone. Kevin's voice takes on a compassionate tone as he continues. But my company was looking for any reason to deny the claim. They had me spend 3 weeks digging through the family's financial records, interviewing neighbors, even analyzing the burn patterns in photographs. The message was clear: find a reason to say no. The first stars begin to appear in the darkening sky above the lake, and you notice how the peaceful setting seems to amplify the emotional weight of Kevin's story. When I finally submitted my report recommending that we pay the claim in full, my supervisor called me into his office. He told me I was being too soft, that I needed to remember I worked for the insurance company, not the claimants. That's when I realized I'd been slowly poisoning my own sense of empathy and justice, one claim at a time. Kevin stands and moves to the edge of the deck, his silhouette outlined against the last traces of sunset. That night, I drove home in complete silence, and for the first time in years, I didn't do any voices during the drive. I felt like I was losing the most authentic part of myself to a job that was making me into someone I didn't recognize. You can feel the weight of that realization settling into your own consciousness. The recognition that staying in the wrong situation too long can gradually erode the very qualities that make us who we are. But sometimes, Kevin says, turning back to face you with renewed energy, the universe has a way of intervening just when we need it most. The very next day, everything changed because of the most ridiculous thing imaginable: a traffic jam on the 405. As Kevin's story pauses at this moment of transition, you find yourself completely absorbed in the peaceful evening atmosphere. The lake reflects the emerging stars, and somewhere in the distance, an owl calls softly through the pine trees. You sense that you're about to hear about the moment when everything shifted, when a hidden gift finally found its way into the light. The lake has transformed into a mirror of deep purples and indigos as night settles over the mountain landscape. Kevin settles back into his chair, and you notice how the soft glow from the cabin's interior lights creates a warm, intimate atmosphere that makes even the most personal revelations feel safe and natural. Picture this, Kevin begins, his voice taking on the storytelling rhythm that has made him so successful. Wednesday morning, 8:47 a.m., and I'm trapped in the worst traffic jam I've ever experienced. A 3-car accident had completely shut down the freeway, and I'm sitting there with my engine off, watching the minutes tick by on my dashboard clock. You can almost feel the frustration and restlessness as Kevin describes that pivotal moment. The gentle sound of water lapping against the dock below provides a soothing counterpoint to the tension in his story. I had a 10 a.m. appointment to interview a claimant about a suspicious workers' compensation case, and I was already running late. My phone kept buzzing with texts from my supervisor, asking for updates on 3 different investigations. The stress was building in my shoulders, that familiar knot of anxiety that had become my constant companion. Kevin pauses to gesture toward the peaceful lake. But sitting here now, I realize that traffic jam was the universe's way of forcing me to be still long enough to rediscover myself. The evening air carries the sound of distant laughter from other cabin guests, creating a sense of community and shared experience that makes you feel completely at ease. After about an hour of not moving an inch, I started getting silly. I began creating voices for all the frustrated drivers around me. The businessman in the BMW became this uptight character obsessed with his stock portfolio. The soccer mom in the minivan transformed into a harried superhero trying to coordinate carpools and ballet lessons. I was entertaining myself with these elaborate character backstories when I realized something amazing was happening. You find yourself leaning forward slightly, drawn into Kevin's growing excitement as he recalls this moment of discovery. For the first time in months, I felt completely alive. My creativity was flowing, my imagination was engaged, and I'd forgotten all about the insurance claims waiting on my desk. I was in what athletes call the zone, except instead of sports, I was creating an entire universe of characters right there in my Honda Civic. Kevin's eyes light up as he continues. That's when I had this crazy idea. I pulled out my phone and started recording myself doing impressions and character voices. Nothing fancy, just silly little skits about the people stuck in traffic with me. I created this whole narrative about a magical traffic jam where everyone's true personality came out while they waited. The stars are now fully visible overhead, and you notice how the peaceful setting seems to amplify your sense of possibility and wonder. When traffic finally started moving 3 hours later, I had recorded almost 20 minutes of material. It was raw, unpolished, completely spontaneous, but there was something undeniably authentic about it. I could hear in my own voice a joy and energy that had been missing from my life for years. Kevin stands and moves to lean against the deck railing, his voice becoming more contemplative. I almost deleted the recording when I got to the office. It seemed too silly, too unprofessional for someone who was supposed to be a serious insurance investigator. But something made me hesitate. Maybe it was the memory of how good it felt to create something, or maybe it was just curiosity about whether anyone else would find it entertaining. You sense that you're approaching another crucial turning point in Kevin's journey, and you find yourself naturally relaxing even deeper into the comfortable chair, allowing his story to wash over you like the gentle evening breeze. That night, I did something completely out of character. I created a simple social media account under a fake name and posted the traffic jam recording with the caption, "What happens when an insurance investigator gets stuck in traffic for 3 hours?" I expected maybe a few friends to listen and politely comment, if anyone noticed it at all. The cabin's interior lights cast dancing reflections on the lake's surface, creating an almost magical atmosphere that seems to enhance the transformative nature of Kevin's story. I went to bed that night without checking my phone, which was unusual for me. I'd become addicted to scrolling through social media as a way to avoid thinking about how unsatisfied I was with my career. But that night, I felt this strange sense of peace. I'd created something purely for the joy of creating it, without any expectation of reward or recognition. Kevin's voice takes on a tone of wonder as he recalls what happened next. When I woke up the next morning, my phone was buzzing like crazy. The traffic jam recording had somehow gotten over 1,000 listens overnight, and the comments were incredible. People were saying things like, "This is hilarious, you should do more," and "You have such a gift for voices. Have you considered voice acting?" You feel a surge of excitement on Kevin's behalf, understanding the profound validation he must have experienced after years of hiding his talent. But here's the comment that changed everything. Kevin continues, his voice becoming more intense. A woman named Sarah wrote, "My 8-year-old daughter and I listened to this together, and we were both laughing so hard we had tears streaming down our faces. You gave us this perfect moment of joy in the middle of a really difficult week. Thank you for sharing your gift with the world." The emotional weight of that moment settles over the peaceful lake setting, and you can almost feel the shift in Kevin's consciousness as he realized his voice could bring genuine happiness to strangers. That comment hit me like lightning. I'd been thinking of my voice work as just a silly hobby, but here was evidence that it could actually matter to people, that it could brighten someone's day, create connection, maybe even heal a little bit of the world's sadness. Kevin returns to his chair, and you notice how his entire posture seems to embody the confidence and purpose he discovered in that moment. I started researching voice acting that very day. I discovered that it's a massive industry I'd never really thought about before. Every commercial, every animated movie, every audiobook, every video game, they all need voices. And with streaming platforms creating more content than ever before, the demand for talented voice actors was actually growing. The gentle sound of night birds calling across the lake provides a natural soundtrack as Kevin's story continues to unfold. That weekend, I took my first real step toward change. I found a community college that offered voice acting classes on Saturday mornings. The instructor was a woman named Patricia, who'd worked in animation for 30 years, and she had this amazing ability to help people find the characters that lived inside their voices. You find yourself naturally absorbing Kevin's growing sense of purpose and possibility, feeling the same excitement building in your own consciousness. My first class was terrifying and exhilarating at the same time. There were 12 students, ranging from teenagers to retirees, all united by this shared love of bringing characters to life through voice. Some wanted to do commercials, others were interested in audiobooks, and a few were specifically focused on animation and video games. Kevin's voice becomes more animated as he recalls those early classes. Patricia had us do this exercise where we each had to create 3 distinct character voices on the spot. When it was my turn, I drew on all those lunch break practice sessions in my car. I created an elderly librarian with a slight lisp, a hyperactive squirrel, and a wise-cracking detective. The room went completely silent when I finished, and then everyone started applauding. The validation and encouragement of that moment seems to radiate through Kevin's entire being as he shares the memory. After class, Patricia pulled me aside and said something I'll never forget. "Kevin, you have a natural gift that most people spend years trying to develop. The question is, what are you going to do with it?" I remember driving home that day, feeling like I was seeing my life clearly for the first time in years. As Chapter 2 draws to a close, you find yourself completely immersed in the peaceful lake setting and Kevin's transformative journey. The stars shine brightly overhead, and somewhere in the distance, a gentle breeze stirs through the pine trees, carrying with it the promise that hidden talents are always waiting for the right moment to emerge into the light. The lake has become a perfect mirror for the star-filled sky above, creating the illusion that you and Kevin are suspended between 2 infinite expanses of twinkling light. The air has cooled to that perfect temperature that makes you want to linger outdoors indefinitely, wrapped in the comfort of meaningful conversation and natural beauty. Kevin reaches for a soft throw blanket draped over his chair, settling it around his shoulders as he continues his story. The gesture feels both practical and symbolic, a cozy preparation for diving deeper into the pivotal moments that shaped his transformation. Those Saturday morning voice classes became the highlight of my week. Kevin begins, his voice carrying the warm satisfaction of someone recalling a period of rapid growth and discovery. While my coworkers were sleeping in or running errands, I was in Patricia's studio, exploring characters and voices I never knew existed inside me. The gentle lapping of water against the dock creates a rhythmic backdrop that seems to enhance the hypnotic quality of Kevin's storytelling. Patricia had this amazing exercise called character speed dating. She'd give us random scenarios, like a nervous accountant ordering coffee or a confident superhero buying groceries, and we'd have to improvise both the situation and the voice in real time. It was terrifying at first, but after a few weeks, I found myself naturally slipping into character voices without even thinking about it. You notice how Kevin's own voice subtly shifts and changes as he describes different aspects of his training, demonstrating the skills he developed even as he tells the story. The breakthrough moment came during our 6th class. Patricia assigned us to create an original character for a hypothetical children's animated series. We had a week to develop a backstory, personality traits, and signature catchphrases. I remember sitting in my apartment that weekend, surrounded by sketches and notes, trying to find the perfect character. Kevin pauses to watch a shooting star streak across the lake's reflection, and you find yourself making a silent wish for your own creative breakthrough. That's when I created Benny the Bookworm, Kevin continues with obvious affection. He was this enthusiastic little character who lived in a public library and helped kids solve problems through the power of stories and imagination. Benny had this slightly nasal voice, but with genuine warmth and excitement about learning. His catchphrase was, "Every book is a doorway to somewhere amazing." The character comes alive even in Kevin's brief description, and you can easily imagine children being delighted and inspired by such a personality. When I performed Benny for the class, something magical happened. Not only did everyone laugh and cheer, but Patricia's expression completely changed. She stopped taking notes and just watched me with this look of professional recognition. After the class, she asked if I'd ever considered specializing in children's animation. Kevin's voice takes on a tone of wonder as he recalls that pivotal conversation. Patricia explained that children's animation was experiencing a renaissance. Streaming platforms were investing billions in family content, and they were specifically looking for voices that could connect with both kids and parents. She said Benny had that rare quality of being genuinely entertaining without being annoying or condescending. The evening air carries the faint scent of wood smoke from a distant fireplace, adding to the cozy atmosphere that makes every revelation feel both intimate and profound. That week, Patricia did something incredible. She had a contact at Sunshine Studios, a mid-sized animation company that specialized in educational children's content. Without telling me, she sent them a recording of my Benny performance, along with a brief note about my potential. You find yourself holding your breath in anticipation, sensing that Kevin is approaching his first real professional opportunity. 3 days later, I got a call at my insurance office from someone named Mike Chen, who introduced himself as a casting director at Sunshine Studios. He said Patricia had recommended me for a small role in an upcoming animated short film about library adventures. The character was perfect for Benny's voice, and they wanted to know if I'd be interested in auditioning. Kevin laughed softly at the memory. I was so shocked that I almost hung up, thinking it was some kind of prank call. A real animation studio wanted me to audition? The guy who spent his days investigating insurance fraud claims. It felt like someone was offering me a chance to step into a completely different universe. The stars seemed to shine more brightly as Kevin describes this moment of possibility opening up in his life. The audition was scheduled for the following Saturday afternoon, which meant I'd have to miss one of Patricia's classes. When I told her about the conflict, she just smiled and said, "Kevin, this is exactly why we've been practicing. Go show them what you can do." Kevin shifts in his chair, and you notice how his entire demeanor seems to embody the nervous excitement he must have felt preparing for that first professional audition. I spent the entire week practicing. I refined Benny's voice, developed new catchphrases, and even created little storylines about library adventures. My co-workers at the insurance office thought I was losing my mind because I kept mumbling character voices under my breath while reviewing claim files. The image of Kevin secretly practicing his character voice while investigating insurance claims creates a delightful contrast that speaks to the double life he was beginning to lead. Saturday arrived, and I drove to Sunshine Studios, feeling like I was about to meet my destiny. The building was nothing fancy, just a converted warehouse in an industrial part of town. But when I walked through those doors, I felt like I was entering a temple dedicated to creativity and imagination. Kevin's voice becomes more vivid as he describes the studio environment. Everywhere I looked, there were storyboards, character sketches, and monitors showing works in progress. Voice actors were recording in soundproof booths, while directors and animators collaborated on bringing stories to life. It was the most inspiring place I'd ever been. You can almost see the wonder in Kevin's eyes as he recalls that first glimpse into the professional animation world. Mike Chen turned out to be this incredibly warm, encouraging person who immediately put me at ease. He explained that they were looking for someone to voice a character called Dewey the Library Detective in a series of 5-minute educational shorts. The character was remarkably similar to Benny, enthusiastic, helpful, and passionate about learning. The synchronicity of that perfect match seems to reinforce the idea that Kevin was being guided toward his true calling. The audition itself was surprisingly relaxed. Mike had me read several short scripts, experiment with different emotional ranges, and improvise responses to various scenarios. What impressed him most wasn't just my voice work, but my instinctive understanding of how to make educational content entertaining without dumbing it down. Kevin pauses to take a sip of his drink, and you notice how the simple action seems to heighten the anticipation of learning the audition results. 2 hours after I left the studio, my phone rang. It was Mike, and he said 4 words that changed my life forever. "Kevin, the job is yours." They were offering me my first professional voice acting role, paying $500 per episode for a 10-episode series, with the possibility of additional seasons if the show was successful. The excitement of that moment seems to radiate through the peaceful evening air, and you find yourself feeling genuinely happy for Kevin's breakthrough. I accepted immediately, of course, but then reality hit me. I had to figure out how to balance this incredible opportunity with my full-time insurance job. The recording schedule was flexible, mostly evenings and weekends, but I knew this was just the beginning of a much larger transition. As Kevin's story pauses at this moment of new possibility, you feel the gentle night breeze carrying the scent of pine and lake water. The stars continue their silent dance overhead, and you sense that you're witnessing the early stages of a transformation that will ultimately lead to extraordinary success and fulfillment. The peaceful mountain lake reflects the full canopy of stars like scattered diamonds on black velvet. A gentle breeze stirs through the surrounding pines, carrying with it the sweet scent of night-blooming jasmine from somewhere along the distant shoreline. You and Kevin have settled into that perfect rhythm of evening conversation, where time seems to slow down and every word carries extra weight and meaning. Kevin adjusts his position in the comfortable chair, wrapping the throw blanket more snugly around his shoulders as he prepares to share the next phase of his remarkable journey. The Dewey the Library Detective series launched 6 months later. Kevin begins, his voice carrying the satisfaction of someone recalling a period of rapid professional growth. What started as a simple educational project turned into something much more significant when Sunshine Studios partnered with EduStream, one of the emerging platforms focused specifically on children's learning content. The gentle sound of night birds calling across the lake provides a natural soundtrack that seems to enhance the storytelling atmosphere. I remember the first time I saw Dewey animated and fully produced. Mike invited me to the studio for a preview screening, and when that little detective appeared on screen with my voice coming out of his mouth, I felt this overwhelming surge of pride and disbelief. I'd helped bring a character to life, and kids all over the country would soon be learning and laughing because of work I'd done. You find yourself naturally absorbing Kevin's sense of wonder and accomplishment, feeling how profoundly meaningful it must have been to see his creative work take tangible form. But here's where the story gets really interesting. Kevin continues, his voice taking on the tone of someone about to reveal an unexpected twist. The timing of Dewey's release coincided perfectly with what the industry now calls the streaming explosion. Netflix, Disney+, Amazon Prime, and a dozen other platforms were all desperately seeking original content, especially family-friendly programming that could attract both children and parents. Kevin pauses to watch the reflection of clouds drifting across the star-filled lake surface. EduStream's subscriber base had grown from 50,000 to over 2 million families in just 18 months, and Dewey the Library Detective quickly became one of their most popular series. Kids were requesting it specifically, parents were sharing episodes on social media, and educators were using it in classrooms across the country. The success of Kevin's first major project seems to radiate through his entire being as he shares these memories. Mike called me 3 weeks after the series premiered with news that would change everything. EduStream wanted to expand Dewey into a full-length format, 20-minute episodes instead of 5-minute shorts, and they were offering me a contract that would pay more per episode than I was making in an entire month at the insurance company. You can almost feel the weight of that decision settling over the peaceful evening atmosphere. The choice between security and pursuing a dream becomes almost tangible in the mountain air. But the offer came with a catch. Kevin continues, his voice becoming more thoughtful. The expanded series would require a much more intensive recording schedule, including promotional appearances and collaboration with writers and producers. There was no way to continue working full-time at Meridian Insurance while giving this opportunity the attention it deserved. The gentle lapping of water against the dock seems to mark the passing moments as Kevin recalls this crucial crossroads in his journey. I spent 3 sleepless nights weighing my options. The insurance job represented everything I'd been taught to value: steady income, health benefits, retirement contributions, the appearance of responsible adulthood. But the voice acting opportunity represented something I'd never experienced before: the chance to wake up excited about my work. Kevin's voice takes on the emotional weight of someone recalling a life-defining decision. Finally, I called my parents and explained the situation. My father, who'd worked the same manufacturing job for 35 years, was initially skeptical. He kept asking about the long-term security, the career trajectory, the practical considerations. But my mother surprised me with her response. The evening air seems to carry an extra sense of anticipation as Kevin prepares to share his mother's wisdom. She said, "Kevin, in all the years you've been working at that insurance company, I've never once heard genuine excitement in your voice when you talk about your work. But when you describe this voice acting opportunity, you sound like the enthusiastic little boy who used to create puppet shows in our living room. Sometimes the most practical thing you can do is follow the path that makes you come alive." The profound truth of that maternal insight seems to resonate across the peaceful lake setting, creating a moment of deep recognition about the importance of authentic self-expression. 2 weeks later, I submitted my resignation letter at Meridian Insurance. My supervisor was shocked. My coworkers thought I'd lost my mind, and part of me wondered if I was making the biggest mistake of my life. But as I walked out of that building for the last time, I felt lighter than I had in years. Kevin stands and moves to the edge of the deck, his silhouette outlined against the star-filled sky reflected in the lake's surface. The expanded Dewey series launched 8 months later, and the response exceeded everyone's expectations. The show was nominated for 2 Children's Choice Awards, licensed for international distribution, and spawned a line of educational toys and books. But more importantly for my career, it established me as a reliable, professional voice actor who could deliver consistent quality work on deadline. You sense that Kevin's success with Dewey was about to open even larger doors in the rapidly expanding world of streaming content. That's when the calls started coming in from other studios and platforms. Everyone wanted to know if I had other character voices in my repertoire, if I was available for additional projects, if I'd be interested in developing original content. Within 6 months of leaving my insurance job, I was voicing characters for 3 different animated series and considering offers for 4 more. Kevin's voice becomes more animated as he describes this period of abundant opportunity. The streaming platforms were in intense competition with each other, and original animated content had become one of their primary battlegrounds. Studios were green-lighting projects that might have been considered too risky or niche just a few years earlier, and they needed talented voice actors who could help bring these ambitious visions to life. The gentle breeze carries the sound of distant laughter from other lakeside guests, creating a sense of community and shared celebration that enhances Kevin's story of growing success. One of the most significant opportunities came from Rainbow Bridge Studios, which was developing an ambitious animated series called Neighborhood Adventures. The show followed a multicultural group of kids exploring their community and learning about different cultures, professions, and ways of life. They needed a voice actor who could handle multiple characters with distinct personalities and backgrounds. Kevin returns to his chair, settling back into the comfortable storytelling position. The audition process was unlike anything I'd experienced before. Instead of reading prepared scripts, they had me improvise conversations between different characters, create voices for various age ranges and personality types, and demonstrate my ability to maintain character consistency across multiple recording sessions. You find yourself completely absorbed in Kevin's growing expertise and professional development, feeling how each opportunity was building toward something even larger. When I got the call that I'd been selected as the primary voice actor for Neighborhood Adventures, the contract details were almost overwhelming. They were offering me a 3-year deal with profit participation, which meant I'd earn additional income based on the show's performance across all distribution platforms. Kevin's voice takes on a tone of wonder as he recalls the magnitude of that opportunity. The base salary alone was more than double what I'd been making in insurance, but the potential earnings from profit participation could be exponentially higher if the show became a hit. For the first time in my life, I was being offered the chance to build genuine wealth while doing work that filled me with purpose and joy. As Chapter 4 draws to a close, you find yourself feeling deeply inspired by Kevin's courage to leave security behind and trust in his creative abilities. The stars continue their silent dance overhead, and the peaceful lake setting seems to amplify the sense that extraordinary opportunities await those who are willing to pursue their authentic gifts with dedication and persistence. The night has deepened around the mountain lake, transforming the peaceful setting into something almost magical. The water's surface has become so still that it perfectly mirrors the star-filled sky above, creating the illusion of floating in space between two infinite galaxies. A soft glow from the cabin's interior windows casts gentle light across the deck, creating an intimate atmosphere perfect for the deeper revelations of Kevin's journey. Kevin has pulled his chair closer to yours, and you notice how his voice has taken on the quality of someone sharing closely held secrets about building something meaningful from scratch. Neighborhood Adventures premiered 18 months after I signed the contract, and within 3 weeks, it became the #1 children's show on the Streamverse platform. Kevin begins, his voice carrying the quiet satisfaction of someone who has seen their hard work validated on a massive scale. The gentle sound of water lapping against the dock below provides a soothing rhythm that seems to enhance the hypnotic quality of Kevin's storytelling. But success in voice acting taught me something crucial about the entertainment industry. Talent is just the foundation. To build real, lasting wealth, you have to think like an entrepreneur, not just a performer. I started paying attention to the business side of every project, how shows were developed, financed, and distributed. Kevin pauses to adjust the throw blanket around his shoulders, and you notice how even this simple gesture seems to embody the comfort and security he's built through smart business decisions. Kevin continues, his words carrying the wisdom of someone who has learned to see beyond immediate opportunities. Every character I created, every performance I delivered, was building equity in something much larger than individual projects. You find yourself naturally leaning into this deeper level of Kevin's story, sensing that you're about to learn about the strategic thinking that transformed talent into true wealth. 6 months into Neighborhood Adventures' success, I made a decision that my agent thought was crazy. Instead of immediately taking every voice acting offer that came my way, I started declining projects that didn't align with my long-term vision. I wanted to become known specifically for characters that educated and inspired children while entertaining their parents. The evening air carries the sweet scent of night-blooming flowers from somewhere along the distant shoreline, creating an atmosphere that feels both peaceful and charged with possibility. This strategic focus led to something unexpected. Studios started coming to me specifically when they wanted voices that could carry educational content without feeling preachy or boring. I became the go-to person for what the industry calls stealth learning, entertainment that teaches valuable lessons while kids think they're just having fun. Kevin's voice takes on the tone of someone who has discovered a unique niche that perfectly matches their skills and values. Within a year, I was voicing lead characters in 4 different educational series, consulting on character development for 2 more, and being invited to speak at animation industry conferences about the psychology of children's media. You can feel the momentum building in Kevin's career trajectory, the way success began creating even more opportunities for success. But here's where I made the decision that really changed everything, Kevin says, his voice becoming more intense with the memory of a crucial moment. Rainbow Bridge Studios offered me an exclusive 5-year contract with guaranteed minimum earnings of $2 million annually. It was more money than I'd ever imagined making, with complete financial security and the prestige of being their signature voice talent. The weight of that offer seems to settle over the peaceful lake setting, and you can almost feel the temptation of such security and recognition. I turned it down, Kevin says simply, and the words seem to ripple across the still water like a stone dropped into perfect silence. Instead, I used my savings to start my own voice coaching business, teaching other aspiring voice actors the techniques I'd developed. I called it Authentic Voice Academy, and the concept was simple: help people discover and develop their unique vocal gifts. Kevin stands and moves to lean against the deck railing, his silhouette outlined against the star-reflected lake surface. Everyone thought I was insane to walk away from guaranteed millions, but I could see something they couldn't. The demand for quality voice talent was exploding faster than the industry could train new actors. I wanted to be part of the solution while building something I owned completely. You find yourself admiring Kevin's courage to see beyond immediate financial gain toward building something with lasting value and impact. The voice coaching business started small, weekend workshops in rented studio space, with 8 to 12 students per session. I charged $200 per student for a full-day intensive course, covering everything from basic technique to industry business practices. The first workshop sold out within hours of announcing it online. Kevin's voice becomes more animated as he describes the early growth of his teaching business. What surprised me was how much I enjoyed the teaching aspect. Helping someone discover their unique voice and watching their confidence grow was even more rewarding than my own performing success. I realized I was building something that could impact hundreds of careers instead of just my own. The gentle night breeze carries the sound of distant laughter from other lakeside guests, creating a sense of community that mirrors the supportive environment Kevin was creating for aspiring voice actors. Within 6 months, I was running workshops every weekend, had a waiting list of over 300 students, and was getting requests to teach in other cities. That's when I made another crucial decision. I launched the Authentic Voice Academy as a comprehensive online training program. Kevin returns to his chair, settling back into the comfortable storytelling position. The online program allowed me to reach students worldwide while creating a scalable source of income that didn't require my physical presence for every session. I developed 12 modules covering everything from basic voice technique to advanced character development, with personalized feedback and one-on-one coaching calls. You can sense the business acumen that Kevin developed, transforming his expertise into multiple revenue streams that could grow independently of his time investment. The online academy launched with 47 students paying $497 each for the complete program. Within a year, we had over 2,000 active students from 23 countries, generating more monthly revenue than my voice acting contracts. But more importantly, our graduates were landing professional roles and building their own successful careers. Kevin's voice takes on a tone of deep satisfaction as he describes the impact his teaching was having on others' lives. I started getting emails from students who'd landed their first commercial voiceover work, been cast in animated series, or started their own successful voice coaching businesses. The academy wasn't just generating income, it was creating a network of talented professionals who were transforming the industry. The peaceful lake setting seems to amplify the sense of authentic success that comes from building something that serves others while creating personal prosperity. But I wasn't done expanding yet. Kevin continues with a slight smile in his voice. The success of the online academy led to my next major venture, a podcast called Behind the Microphone, where I interviewed successful voice actors, animation directors, and industry executives about their careers and creative processes. You find yourself naturally absorbing Kevin's entrepreneurial mindset, understanding how each success became a platform for building something even larger. The podcast started as a simple way to provide additional value to my academy students, but it quickly developed its own massive following. Episodes were getting 50,000 to 100,000 downloads, and major industry figures were requesting to be guests. Sponsors started approaching me about advertising opportunities. Kevin's voice becomes more thoughtful as he reflects on this period of rapid expansion. Within 18 months of launching the podcast, it was generating $15,000 per month in sponsorship revenue, had been featured in several best podcasts lists, and was being used as a resource in university animation programs. I'd accidentally created another significant income stream while building my reputation as an industry thought leader. The stars continue their silent dance overhead, and you sense that Kevin's story is building toward an even more significant transformation. All of these ventures were successful, but they were also teaching me something crucial about building lasting wealth in the entertainment industry. Instead of just selling my time and talent, I was creating assets: the online academy, the podcast, my reputation as an educator and mentor. These assets could generate income and grow in value even when I wasn't actively working. Kevin pauses to take a sip of his drink, and you notice how the simple action seems to mark a transition to an even more significant phase of his journey. The mountain lake has transformed into a mirror of absolute stillness, reflecting every star with such clarity that the boundary between water and sky seems to have dissolved entirely. Most of the other lakeside guests have retreated to their cabins, leaving you and Kevin in a cocoon of peaceful solitude, broken only by the gentle sounds of night birds and the distant rustle of pine boughs in the evening breeze. Kevin shifts in his chair, pulling the throw blanket closer as he prepares to share what you sense will be the most significant chapter of his transformation from voice actor to entertainment entrepreneur. Maria's call came on a Thursday evening while I was reviewing applications for the next Authentic Voice Academy cohort. Kevin begins, his voice carrying the excitement of someone recalling a moment when everything clicked into place. She'd graduated from my program 2 years earlier and had since become a producer at Cosmic Animation, one of the fastest-growing independent studios in the industry. The gentle lapping of water against the dock provides a rhythmic backdrop that seems to enhance the anticipation building in Kevin's story. Maria had a problem that was also an incredible opportunity. Kevin continues, his words carrying the weight of a pivotal moment. Cosmic had secured a 3-show development deal with Global Stream, the newest major streaming platform, but they needed a production partner who understood both the creative and business sides of children's animation. The shows would focus on diverse characters, teaching STEM concepts through adventure stories. You find yourself naturally leaning forward, sensing that this opportunity represents the culmination of everything Kevin had been building toward. The catch was that Cosmic needed their partner to invest $2.5 million in production costs up front, in exchange for 40% ownership of all 3 shows, plus distribution rights in Asian markets. It was a massive financial commitment, but the potential returns were extraordinary if even one of the shows became a hit. Kevin's voice takes on the thoughtful tone of someone who had to weigh enormous risk against transformative potential. I had been successful with my voice acting, coaching, and podcast ventures, but I'd never operated at this level of investment and risk. The decision required me to think like a true media entrepreneur, not just a talented performer who'd built some side businesses. The evening air carries the sweet scent of mountain wildflowers, creating an atmosphere that feels both peaceful and charged with the memory of that crucial decision point. I spent 2 weeks doing intensive research on cosmic animation, Global Stream's content strategy, and the competitive landscape for children's educational programming. I consulted with entertainment lawyers, reviewed comparable deals, and analyzed the financial projections from every possible angle. Kevin pauses to watch a shooting star streak across the lake's reflection, and you find yourself sharing his sense of wonder at the synchronicity of such moments. But beyond all the financial analysis, there was something about this opportunity that felt like destiny. Kevin continues, his voice becoming more personal and reflective. The 3 shows were exactly the kind of content I'd been passionate about throughout my career. Entertaining stories that could genuinely help kids learn and grow while creating opportunities for diverse voice actors. You can feel the alignment between Kevin's values and this business opportunity, understanding how rare it is to find ventures that serve both purpose and profit. The first show, Quantum Questers, followed a team of young scientists exploring the universe while learning about physics and astronomy. The second, Code Crackers, featured kids solving mysteries using mathematics and logical thinking. The third, Bio Builders, took viewers inside the human body to understand how different systems work together. Kevin's voice becomes more animated as he describes these concepts, and you can hear the genuine enthusiasm that must have convinced him to take the leap. Each show was designed to appeal to kids aged 6 to 12, while including enough sophisticated humor and concepts to keep parents engaged. The characters represented different cultural backgrounds, learning styles, and personality types, creating authentic representation without feeling forced or token. The peaceful lake setting seems to amplify the sense of creative alignment that Kevin found in this partnership opportunity. After extensive deliberation, I made the decision to invest, Kevin says, his voice carrying the weight of someone who had committed everything to a single, transformative bet. I liquidated most of my savings, took out a business loan secured by my various ventures, and became a 40% partner in what would become one of the most successful children's animation franchises of the streaming era. You find yourself holding your breath in anticipation, sensing that this decision led to the extraordinary success Kevin now enjoys. The production process was unlike anything I'd experienced before, Kevin continues, settling deeper into his chair as he recalls the intensive creative collaboration. Instead of just showing up to record my voice parts, I was involved in every aspect of development: script review, character design, marketing strategy, and distribution planning. Kevin's voice takes on the tone of someone who discovered capabilities they didn't know they possessed. My background in voice acting gave me unique insights into character development and dialogue, while my experience running the academy and podcast had taught me about audience building and content marketing. I wasn't just an investor. I was a creative and strategic partner. The gentle night breeze carries the sound of distant laughter from other lakeside guests, creating a sense of community that mirrors the collaborative environment Kevin was describing. The first show, Quantum Questers, launched 8 months later with what can only be described as explosive success, Kevin says, his voice carrying the wonder of someone who witnessed their biggest dreams being exceeded. Within 3 weeks, it was the #1 children's show on Global Stream, generating over 50 million viewing hours and sparking a viral social media movement among families sharing science experiments inspired by the episodes. You can almost feel the excitement and validation that Kevin must have experienced seeing this massive success unfold. But the real indicator of our success was what happened next. Kevin continues, his voice becoming more intense with the memory. Netflix offered to acquire exclusive streaming rights for all 3 shows for $45 million up front, plus revenue sharing. Disney approached us about developing a theme park attraction based on the characters. Toy companies were bidding against each other for merchandise licensing deals. The magnitude of these opportunities seems to radiate through the peaceful evening atmosphere, creating a sense of how dramatically Kevin's life had transformed. When the dust settled from that first wave of success, my 40% stake in the 3 shows was valued at approximately $18 million, with ongoing revenue streams that could continue for decades, Kevin says, his voice carrying quiet amazement at the transformation his decision had created. Kevin stands and moves to the edge of the deck, his silhouette outlined against the star-filled lake surface. But perhaps the most satisfying part wasn't the financial success. It was the impact. We were getting emails from teachers who were using our shows in classrooms, from parents whose kids had developed genuine interests in science and math, from children who saw themselves represented in our diverse cast of characters. The sense of purpose and meaning behind Kevin's success seems to amplify the peaceful energy of the mountain lake setting. The partnership with Cosmic Animation had taught me something crucial about building lasting wealth in entertainment, Kevin reflects, his voice taking on the wisdom of hard-won experience. The most successful ventures combine creative excellence with strategic business thinking, serve genuine needs in the marketplace, and create value for everyone involved: creators, investors, and audiences. The night has reached that magical hour when the mountain lake becomes a perfect mirror for the infinite stars above, creating a sense of floating suspended between 2 vast universes of possibility. The air has cooled to that ideal temperature that makes you want to linger in meaningful conversation indefinitely, wrapped in the comfort of shared wisdom and natural beauty. Kevin has settled back into his chair with the deep contentment of someone who has found genuine alignment between their values, talents, and financial success. The soft glow from the cabin windows creates an intimate atmosphere that makes even the most personal revelations feel natural and safe. 2 years after the Cosmic Animation partnership launched, I found myself in a position I never could have imagined during those monotonous days, investigating insurance claims. Kevin begins, his voice carrying the quiet satisfaction of someone who has built something meaningful from scratch. My production company was valued at $8 million. I was earning multiple 7-figure annual income from various revenue streams, and more. Importantly, I was creating content that was genuinely making the world a better place. The gentle sound of water lapping against the dock below provides a soothing rhythm that seems to enhance the hypnotic quality of Kevin's reflection on this period of extraordinary success. But financial success had taught me something profound about wealth that I never understood when I was struggling to pay bills on my insurance salary. Kevin continues, his words carrying the wisdom of someone who has experienced both scarcity and abundance. True wealth isn't just about accumulating money. It's about creating systems that generate value for others while providing you with the freedom to live according to your deepest values. You find yourself naturally absorbing this deeper understanding of prosperity, feeling how Kevin's journey has been as much about personal growth as financial achievement. The success of quantum questers, code crackers, and bio builders had opened doors I didn't even know existed, Kevin explains, his voice taking on the tone of someone still amazed by the trajectory of their own life. Major networks were approaching us about developing live-action versions of our shows. International distributors wanted to license our content for dozens of countries. educational institutions were asking us to create specialized content for their curricula. Kevin pauses to watch the reflection of clouds drifting across the star-filled lake surface, and you notice how even this simple moment of observation seems to embody his deep appreciation for the beauty and abundance that now surrounds his life. Each new opportunity required careful consideration. Kevin continues thoughtfully. Success had given me the luxury of being selective, of choosing only projects that aligned with my vision of creating entertaining, educational content that celebrated diversity and encouraged curiosity. I was no longer desperate for any opportunity. I could focus on the right opportunities. The evening air carries the faint scent of wood smoke from a distant fireplace, adding to the cozy atmosphere that makes every revelation feel both intimate and profound. One of the most significant developments came when Global Stream offered to make me their exclusive partner for children's educational programming. Kevin shares, his voice carrying the weight of a truly transformative opportunity. They wanted to create an entire branded section of their platform called Kevin's Learning Adventures, featuring both our existing shows and new content we would develop specifically for them. You can sense the magnitude of this recognition, an entire platform section bearing Kevin's name and creative vision. Kevin continues, his voice becoming more animated with the memory. A 5-year exclusive partnership worth $25 million guaranteed minimum, plus profit participation that could potentially double or triple those earnings. They were essentially betting their children's educational strategy on my team's ability to create consistently excellent content. The peaceful lake setting seems to amplify the significance of this moment when Kevin's creative vision became recognized as a valuable strategic asset by one of the world's largest entertainment companies. But beyond the financial terms, what excited me most was the creative freedom the partnership provided. Kevin explains, his voice taking on the passion of someone who has found their true calling. Global Stream wasn't just buying our existing content. They were investing in our ability to innovate, experiment, and push the boundaries of what children's educational entertainment could become. Kevin stands and moves to lean against the deck railing, his silhouette outlined against the star-reflected water. We used this platform to develop shows that tackled more sophisticated topics: environmental conservation, cultural appreciation, emotional intelligence, creative problem-solving. Each series maintained our signature blend of entertainment and education, while exploring themes that could help kids navigate an increasingly complex world. You find yourself naturally absorbing Kevin's vision of entertainment as a force for positive change, understanding how rare it is to achieve such alignment between commercial success and meaningful impact. The financial results exceeded everyone's expectations. Kevin continues, his voice carrying quiet amazement at the trajectory his career had taken. Within 18 months of signing the Global Stream partnership, my personal net worth had grown to approximately $12 million, with projected earnings that could reach $20 to $30 million over the life of the contract. The magnitude of this financial transformation seems to settle over the peaceful evening atmosphere, creating a tangible sense of how completely Kevin's life had changed from those days of investigating insurance claims. But perhaps more meaningful than the money was what I'd been able to create for others. Kevin reflects, his voice taking on deeper emotional resonance. The Authentic Voice Academy had graduated over 5,000 students, with more than 200 of them landing professional voice acting careers. Our production company employed 47 full-time staff members, most of them from underrepresented communities in the entertainment industry. Kevin's voice becomes more personal as he shares the impact his success has had on others. We'd established a scholarship fund that provided free voice acting training to kids from low-income families. Our shows were being used in schools across the country to make STEM subjects more engaging and accessible. We were proving that entertainment could be both profitable and purposeful. The gentle night breeze carries the sound of distant laughter from other lakeside guests, creating a sense of community that mirrors the supportive environment Kevin had created through his various ventures. One of the most touching moments came during a fan convention where families could meet the voice actors behind their favorite characters. Kevin shares, his voice carrying deep emotion. A 7-year-old girl named Sophia approached me with her mother and said, "Mr. Kevin, your shows helped me not be scared of math anymore. Now I want to be a scientist when I grow up." Her mother told me that Sophia had struggled with learning differences, but found confidence through our characters, who celebrated different ways of thinking and problem solving. The profound impact of Kevin's work seems to radiate through the peaceful lake setting, creating a sense of how entertainment can truly transform lives when created with genuine care and intention. That interaction reminded me why I'd taken all those risks, made all those difficult decisions to leave security behind. Kevin continues, his voice carrying the deep satisfaction of someone who has found their true purpose. I wasn't just building a business or accumulating wealth. I was contributing to something larger than myself, helping shape how an entire generation of children would think about learning, diversity, and their own potential. Kevin returns to his chair, settling back into the comfortable storytelling position. Success had also taught me the importance of building for sustainability rather than just short-term gains, he reflects, his voice taking on the wisdom of hard-won experience. Every decision we made was evaluated not just for immediate profit, but for long-term impact on our team, our audience, and the industry as a whole. You find yourself naturally absorbing Kevin's philosophy of conscious business building, understanding how genuine success requires balancing multiple stakeholders' interests rather than maximizing any single metric. The production company we'd built was designed to weather industry changes, economic fluctuations, and evolving audience preferences, Kevin explains, his voice carrying the confidence of someone who has learned to think strategically about long-term prosperity. We maintained diverse revenue streams, invested continuously in talent development, and always kept enough capital reserves to fund new projects without relying on external financing. The mountain lake has entered that transcendent phase of deep night, when the water becomes so perfectly still that it transforms into a flawless mirror of the infinite cosmos above. You and Kevin exist in a pocket of profound peace, surrounded by the gentle symphony of night sounds, distant loons calling across the water, the soft rustle of pine boughs in the evening breeze, and the almost musical lapping of tiny wavelets against the dock below. Kevin has wrapped himself more snugly in the throw blanket, and you notice how his entire presence seems to embody the deep contentment that comes from building something meaningful that extends far beyond personal success. The soft golden glow from the cabin windows creates an atmosphere of intimate warmth that makes the most profound revelations feel natural and safe. Sitting here tonight, looking back on this journey from those monotonous days in the insurance office to building an entertainment empire worth millions, I'm struck by how the real transformation wasn't financial at all. Kevin begins, his voice carrying the philosophical depth of someone who has gained true wisdom through experience. The most valuable thing I discovered was how to align my natural gifts with genuine service to others in a way that creates abundance for everyone involved. The gentle sound of water against the dock provides a meditative rhythm that seems to enhance the profound nature of Kevin's reflections on success and purpose. You know, when I was investigating insurance claims, I thought I understood people because I could detect when they were being dishonest during phone interviews. Kevin continues, his voice taking on the tone of someone who has gained much deeper insight into human nature. But creating content for children and families taught me something far more important: how to recognize and nurture the authentic curiosity, creativity, and potential that exists in every person. You find yourself naturally absorbing this deeper understanding of human connection, feeling how Kevin's journey has been as much about developing empathy and wisdom as it has been about building financial success. The insurance industry had trained me to look for problems, inconsistencies, and reasons to say no. Kevin reflects, his words carrying the weight of someone who has completely transformed their worldview. But the entertainment industry taught me to look for possibilities, connections, and reasons to say yes. That shift in perspective changed not just my career, but my entire relationship with abundance and opportunity. Kevin pauses to watch a shooting star streak across the lake's perfect reflection, and you find yourself sharing his sense of wonder at the synchronicity of such moments of cosmic beauty. One of the most profound lessons came from watching how our shows affected families. Kevin continues, his voice becoming more personal and emotional. Parents would write to tell us that our characters had helped their children develop confidence in subjects they'd previously struggled with. Teachers shared stories about students who'd been inspired to pursue STEM careers after watching our educational adventures. The peaceful lake setting seems to amplify the sense of meaningful impact that Kevin's work has created in thousands of lives across the world. But the emails that affected me most deeply came from other adults who said our shows had inspired them to reconnect with their own sense of curiosity and possibility. Kevin shares, his voice carrying profound emotion. A 45-year-old accountant wrote that watching Quantum Questers with his daughter had rekindled his childhood dream of studying astronomy. A single mother shared that our emphasis on different learning styles had helped her understand her son's unique gifts and advocate for his educational needs. You can feel the ripple effects of Kevin's creative work extending far beyond entertainment into real transformation of how people understand themselves and their potential. These stories helped me realize that success isn't just about what you accomplish. It's about what you make possible for others. Kevin continues, his voice taking on the wisdom of someone who has discovered the true meaning of wealth. Every dollar I've earned, every business I've built, every opportunity I've created has been valuable primarily because it enabled me to serve others while doing work that makes my soul come alive. The evening air carries the sweet scent of night-blooming jasmine from somewhere along the distant shoreline, adding to the magical atmosphere that makes every insight feel like a profound revelation. The boring insurance job I thought was wasting my life had actually been preparing me in ways I never could have imagined. Kevin reflects, his voice carrying deep appreciation for the unexpected wisdom of his earlier struggles. Those years of interviewing people from every background, understanding their stories, and developing my ability to read voices and emotions, all of that became the foundation for creating characters and content that could genuinely connect with diverse audiences. Kevin stands and moves to the edge of the deck, his silhouette outlined against the star-filled water surface. I've learned that there's no such thing as wasted experience when you're willing to see how every challenge, every skill, every relationship can contribute to your ultimate purpose. The profound truth of that insight seems to resonate across the peaceful lake setting, creating a moment of deep recognition about the interconnectedness of all experiences in shaping our destiny. Today, my production company employs over 60 people, most of them from communities that have been historically underrepresented in entertainment, Kevin shares with obvious pride. We've created an internship program that partners with inner-city schools to give kids hands-on experience in animation, voice acting, and media production. Our scholarship fund has provided free training to over 300 aspiring voice actors who couldn't otherwise afford professional instruction. You find yourself naturally absorbing Kevin's model of success that creates opportunity and prosperity for entire communities rather than just individual achievement. The financial success has been extraordinary. My net worth now exceeds $12 million, with projected growth that could reach $25 to $30 million over the next 5 years. Kevin continues, his voice carrying quiet amazement at this transformation. But the wealth that matters most is the knowledge that I'm spending my days creating content that helps children believe in their own potential while building a business that provides meaningful careers for talented people. Kevin returns to his chair, settling back into the comfortable storytelling position. We're currently developing our most ambitious project yet, a series that explores how children around the world are addressing environmental challenges in their communities, he explains, his voice taking on excitement about future possibilities. Each episode will be produced in partnership with local animation studios, creating opportunities for artists worldwide while celebrating diverse approaches to problem solving. The vision of this global collaborative project seems to radiate through the peaceful evening atmosphere, creating a sense of how entertainment can become a force for positive change on an international scale. Kevin reflects, his voice carrying deep appreciation for the unexpected value of his previous career. But the entertainment industry taught me about possibility creation and collaborative innovation. Combining those skill sets has enabled me to build something that's both financially sustainable and genuinely meaningful. Kevin's voice takes on a more philosophical tone as he shares his deepest insights about success and fulfillment. I've discovered that the most satisfying wealth comes from creating systems that generate value for others while providing you with the freedom to live according to your authentic nature. When your work aligns with your values and serves genuine needs in the world, financial abundance becomes a natural byproduct rather than a struggle. The gentle night breeze carries the sound of distant laughter from other lakeside guests, creating a sense of community that mirrors the collaborative environment Kevin has built through his various ventures. Looking toward the future, I see endless possibilities for expanding our impact. Kevin continues, his voice carrying the vision of someone who has learned to think beyond personal success toward systemic change. We're exploring partnerships with educational institutions to develop curriculum-integrated content. We're investigating opportunities to create therapeutic programming for children dealing with trauma or learning differences. We're even considering how virtual reality could create immersive educational experiences that make abstract concepts tangible and engaging. You find yourself feeling deeply inspired by Kevin's vision of success as a platform for service and positive impact. The stars continue their silent dance overhead, and the peaceful mountain lake setting seems to amplify the sense that true prosperity comes from aligning your unique gifts with genuine contribution to the world, creating abundance that extends far beyond personal financial gain. The mountain lake has reached that mystical state of perfect stillness, where the boundary between water and sky dissolves completely, creating the illusion that you and Kevin are floating in an infinite universe of stars. The night air has cooled to that ideal temperature that makes you want to remain in this peaceful sanctuary forever, absorbing wisdom and possibility with every gentle breath. Kevin has settled back into his chair with the deep satisfaction of someone who has shared his most meaningful story. and you notice how the telling of his journey seems to have created an atmosphere of profound possibility that extends far beyond his personal experience. The soft glow from the cabin windows provides just enough light to maintain the intimate connection, while the vast darkness above reminds you of the infinite potential that exists in every moment. As I finish sharing this journey with you tonight, Kevin begins, his voice taking on the gentle, hypnotic quality of someone preparing to guide you into deeper understanding. I want you to begin recognizing how every element of my transformation, from insurance investigator to entertainment entrepreneur, represents principles and possibilities that exist within your own life right now. The gentle sound of water lapping against the dock below creates a soothing rhythm that seems to open your mind to receiving these deeper insights about your own potential for extraordinary success. You see, the voice that brought me millions of dollars in income wasn't just my ability to create character sounds. Kevin continues, his words carrying the wisdom of someone who has discovered universal truths about prosperity and fulfillment. It was my willingness to trust my authentic self, to see opportunity in unexpected places, and to serve others while pursuing my own dreams. These same capacities exist within you, waiting to be discovered and developed. You find yourself naturally settling deeper into relaxation as Kevin's insights about success begin to resonate with your own deepest aspirations and hidden potential. Right now, as you listen to my story in this peaceful mountain setting, your subconscious mind is beginning to recognize the patterns of transformation that can guide your own journey toward abundance. Kevin's voice continues, becoming more rhythmic and soothing. Every challenge I faced, every risk I took, every success I achieved was simply a matter of aligning my natural gifts with genuine service to others. This same alignment is available to you. The peaceful lake setting seems to amplify your sense of possibility as Kevin's words sink deeper into your consciousness, planting seeds of confidence and creative potential. Allow yourself to imagine, just for a moment, what your life might look like if you gave yourself permission to pursue what genuinely excites you. Kevin suggests, his voice taking on the quality of gentle guidance that helps you access your deepest dreams and aspirations. Picture yourself waking up each morning with genuine enthusiasm for the work ahead, knowing that your efforts are creating value for others while building the life you truly want to live. The stars reflected in the perfectly still lake seem to pulse gently with possibility as your imagination begins to explore what authentic success might look like in your own unique circumstances. Perhaps your hidden talents lie in areas completely different from voice acting. Kevin continues, his words flowing like a gentle stream of encouragement and insight. Maybe you have gifts for teaching, creating, healing, organizing, innovating, or connecting that you've never fully explored because you've been too focused on what seems practical or safe. Your version of that traffic jam recording, the moment when your authentic self emerges, may be waiting for you to create the space for it to happen. You feel yourself naturally relaxing even deeper as Kevin's story becomes a bridge to understanding your own potential for transformation and prosperity. The insurance industry taught me that every person has a story worth understanding, and the entertainment industry taught me that every story has the power to inspire and transform. Kevin reflects, his voice carrying the hypnotic rhythm of profound truth. Your story, with all its unique challenges, gifts, and possibilities, contains the same potential for creating both personal fulfillment and financial abundance. The gentle night breeze carries the sweet scent of mountain wildflowers creating an atmosphere that feels charged with creative possibility and unlimited potential. As you continue to listen to my voice in this peaceful setting, allow yourself to feel the deep knowing that success is not about copying someone else's path. Kevin continues, his words beginning to weave together conscious inspiration with subconscious programming. Success is about discovering your authentic gifts, developing them with dedication and skill, and finding ways to serve others that create mutual prosperity and fulfillment. You notice how Kevin's voice has taken on an even more soothing quality, helping you access deeper states of relaxation while absorbing these insights about wealth and abundance. Right now, your mind is naturally beginning to release old limiting beliefs about what's possible for someone with your background, your circumstances, your age, or your current situation. Kevin suggests gently, his voice becoming a conduit for positive change and expanded thinking. Just as I discovered that my boring insurance job was actually preparing me for entertainment success, you can begin to trust that every experience you've had contains valuable preparation for opportunities you haven't yet imagined. The peaceful mountain lake setting seems to amplify your natural ability to absorb these empowering ideas about your own potential for extraordinary achievement. Feel yourself settling even more deeply into this comfortable chair beside the lake, allowing the gentle sounds of water and night birds to carry you into an even more receptive state. Kevin guides, his voice now flowing with the hypnotic quality that has made him so successful in creating transformative content. With each breath you take, you're naturally releasing tension and opening your mind to new possibilities for creating the wealth and fulfillment you truly desire. The rhythm of your breathing seems to synchronize naturally with the gentle lapping of water against the dock, creating a state of profound peace and receptivity. In this relaxed state, your subconscious mind is beginning to absorb the understanding that abundance is your natural birthright. Kevin continues, his words carrying the authority of someone who has personally experienced dramatic transformation. Wealth flows naturally to those who align their authentic gifts with genuine service to others. Financial success becomes inevitable when you combine passion with skill, creativity with strategy, and personal fulfillment with contribution to the world. You find yourself naturally accepting these truths about abundance as Kevin's voice continues to guide you into deeper states of relaxation and positive expectation. Allow yourself to feel, right now, the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you have unique gifts that the world needs. Kevin suggests, his voice becoming even more soothing and rhythmic. Whether those gifts involve creative expression, problem-solving, healing, teaching, organizing, or innovations you haven't yet discovered, they represent your pathway to both personal fulfillment and financial prosperity. The star-filled lake creates a perfect mirror that seems to reflect infinite possibility as you absorb these empowering beliefs about your own potential. Just as my voice became the foundation for an $8 million business, your authentic self contains the seeds of extraordinary success. Kevin continues, his words now flowing with hypnotic certainty. Every skill you've developed, every challenge you've overcome, every relationship you've built has been preparing you for opportunities that will allow you to thrive while serving others. You feel yourself naturally letting go of doubt and limitation as Kevin's voice helps you access deeper confidence in your own abilities and potential. With each gentle breath you take, you're naturally programming your subconscious mind to recognize and respond to opportunities for prosperity. Kevin guides, his voice taking on an even more therapeutic quality. Your mind is becoming more alert to possibilities, more confident in your abilities, and more trusting of your instincts about which directions will lead to both fulfillment and financial success. The peaceful mountain setting seems to amplify your natural capacity for positive change as Kevin's suggestions continue to sink deeper into your consciousness. Feel yourself becoming more and more relaxed, more and more receptive to the abundant possibilities that surround your life. Kevin continues, his voice now carrying the gentle authority of deep hypnotic guidance. In this state of complete peace and openness, you're naturally aligning with the same principles that transformed my life. The courage to trust your authentic gifts, the wisdom to serve others while pursuing your dreams, and the persistence to build something meaningful over time. The gentle sounds of the mountain lake create a perfect soundtrack for this deep programming of success consciousness as you naturally drift into even more receptive states. Your subconscious mind is now beginning to work on your behalf, identifying opportunities, developing insights, and creating the internal conditions that attract prosperity and fulfillment. Kevin suggests, his voice becoming softer and more rhythmic. Even as you sleep tonight, these positive changes will continue to unfold, preparing you to recognize and respond to the opportunities that will transform your relationship with money and success. You find yourself naturally embracing this process of positive change, feeling how Kevin's story has opened new pathways for thinking about your own potential. Allow the gentle sounds of the lake and the peaceful energy of this mountain setting to carry you deeper into restorative sleep. Kevin continues, his voice now taking on the qualities that have made his children's content so effective at creating positive change in young minds. As you drift off, know that you're not just resting. You're integrating new possibilities, new confidence, and new alignment with the abundance that is your natural inheritance. The stars continue their silent dance overhead, reflected perfectly in the still water, creating a sense of cosmic support for your own journey toward extraordinary success. Sleep now with the deep knowing that your unique voice, whether literal or metaphorical, contains the power to create wealth, serve others, and build the life you truly want to live. Kevin's voice becomes barely audible, blending with the gentle night sounds. Tomorrow begins with new possibilities, and you begin with everything you need to recognize and respond to opportunities for authentic prosperity. The peaceful mountain lake setting fades gently into the background as Kevin's empowering words continue to work in your subconscious mind, programming new beliefs about money, success, and your own unlimited potential. Rest deeply, dream abundantly, and wake tomorrow with the quiet confidence that your journey toward extraordinary success has already begun. Kevin whispers, as the gentle sounds of water and night birds carry you into the most restorative and transformative sleep of your life. The last thing you remember is the feeling of infinite possibility reflected in the star-filled lake, and the deep knowing that your own version of Kevin's remarkable transformation is not just possible, it's inevitable when you align your authentic gifts with genuine service to others. Sweet dreams of abundance and success carry you into the peaceful depths of night, where your subconscious mind continues to absorb and integrate everything you've learned about creating wealth through authentic self-expression and meaningful contribution to the world. The mountain lake holds you in perfect peace as your mind and body restore themselves, preparing for the extraordinary opportunities that await your awakened awareness of your own unlimited potential for prosperity and fulfillment.